Allow me to rant about the publishing industry for a second.
All right. So I think Breacher's got some good points here. I think romantasy gets marketed in a very strange way sometimes. I think that there is a good mix of the publisher turning around and marketing a full-on romance as romantasy because, it takes place with goblins. But I also think that there is a lot of romantasy that is heavy in the epic fantasy realm. I think you wouldn't turn around and call something you consider an epic fantasy a romantasy just because there's a romance subplot. A good recent example of having a romance in a fantasy is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. There is a romantic subplot here, but the story wouldn't fall apart if there was no romance in this story. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you have what you would consider an actual romantasy. So somebody like Sarah J. Maas, who has written ACOTAR and Crescent City and Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass gets marketed as a romantasy up front, but I would argue that Throne of Glass is an incredible epic fantasy that hits several high notes. There's huge character development, deep world building. It starts off a little rocky, but after book two, this series takes off and there is politicking, there is twist and drops, and the ending, the way she weaves plots together from book one all the way to the end is, I would consider, some of the best epic fantasy because it hits all of the notes you'd expect from an epic fantasy, but the plot would fall apart without the romance. Now, it does get a little heavy towards the end because of marketing and how everything played again with the timing of ACOTAR and these books coming out, but it never overshadows the story. And I think it's just really bad marketing and very gatekeepy. And I just don't think it makes sense. And it creates these misconceptions. Now, there's definitely deceptive practices and things like that, but overall, I would argue to anyone who enjoys like a deep political maneuvering and just true epic fantasy to give Throne of Glass a shot.